Stay tuned for the Joan Quinn Profiles. Joan served the state of California as a member on the Arts Council and on the Film Commission. She was formerly on the Architectural Commission and fulfilled 2 terms on the Fine Arts Commission for the city of Beverly Hills. As an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine, Condé Nast Publications, and the Hearst Corporation, Joan covered the world of fashion, the mysteries of food, the excitement of theater, and the international art scene. She continues to find people who are on the cutting edge of their professions. Here's Joan Agajanian Quinn.
Hi, I'm Joan Agajanian Quinn, and welcome to the Joan Quinn Profiles. Waiting to be profiled, comic, actor, writer, model, Ellyn Daniels. Ellyn Daniels is an award-winning actress who was born and raised in Orlando, Florida. She attended the Harrod Conservatory in South Florida and the London Studio Center, where she studied ballet. In her professional life as a dancer, then as a model, she's worked all over the world. You've seen her on TV and Oxygen's Funny Girls and ABC's The Forgotten and the web series Kiss Her, I'm Famous. Is that right? Kiss Her, I'm Famous?
It is right, yeah.
Ellyn is drawn on her life experiences to write and star in the Fringe Festival's emotional terrorism. So, what is emotional terrorism?
What it is to me is, being sort of terrorized by people.
By other people?
Psychologically, yeah.
Oh, psychologically,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because how do you draw on the things that you've done? What do you talk about in emotional terrorism?
I talk about my upbringing. I talk about my ballet school. I talk about modeling agents. I talk about a little bit about the business of show business that I've encountered in Los Angeles and just people I've met along the way.
How long is the play?
It's an hour.
And tell me about the Fringe Festival.
The Hollywood Fringe Festival?
Yeah.
I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know a ton about the Fringe Festival, but it goes on through the month of June.
But how do you do it? How do you get a venue, and how long do you stay there and all that?
You get a venue by applying.
Uh-huh.
And then, you kind of show them whatever you have about the show, script.
How long does your play have to be?
I think I don't know if it has to be a certain amount, but I don't think they like it to be over an hour for these festivals. That's sort of what I've gathered.
Then you live between London and LA and Spain, Barcelona. Mm-hmm. But there's a Fringe Festival in Edinburgh. Have you ever been in that?
I'm doing that this year, yeah.
Oh, you are doing that. Well, isn't this, you don't know because you haven't done it before. Well, do you think they're the same?
No, I don't. I think they're probably pretty different in terms of their tenor. I mean, I think Edinburgh has been going on longer.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and
are they more particular? Did you have to do things more?
Well, their process, it takes a long time, so you have to apply much more in advance than you do in Hollywood. I just think it's more inundated
with people from all over the world, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's not just a acting festival. They have dance, they have music, they have,
And we don't have that. We have just acting, I think. I think we just have plays.
Is that right?
I think so,
because
it's fairly new and it's getting bigger and bigger.
Right,
I think it's great. But I know everyone always talked about the Edinburgh Film Festival.
Yeah.
So
it's a big thing.
And you're living close, actually, if you're living in London.
Yeah, I spent some time in London, and just by being there and doing stand-up and getting to know people in that community, a lot of people advised me to do the Edinburgh Fringe.
So let's talk about your ballet career, because it took up so much of your early life, right?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, so...
How'd you get interested?
Well, when I was young, very, very young, like 3 years old, I started doing all sort of jazz and tap and musical theater and those kinds of dancing. And then one day, this guy came to my school when I was maybe 12, and he was from School of American Ballet, and he was like, oh, you're really talented, you should pursue ballet. Like, you have the facility to do that. And then I sort of redirected myself to do that.
So that became your career? And then did you go away to that conservatory to live?
No, I didn't. I went to the Herod Conservatory, so that was in South Florida, and I lived there for 2 years of high school.
Oh, you did? Mm-hmm. Did they do high school and then in training, ballet
training?
Yeah,
basically we went to the local high school for 4 hours, like 4 periods of an 8-period day, and then we came back, we ate something, and then we did ballet for the rest of the day.
And who were the teachers there?
A woman called Victoria Raquel Schneider, a man called Olivier Pardina, Svetlana Osieva.
Were they all dancers?
They all had been dancers. Yeah.
They had all been dancers?
Yeah.
And then what happened to you? What happened to your career?
Oh, to the ballet?
Yeah.
Well, it was sort of a melange of things. Like, I had an injury, a chronic injury in my Achilles tendon.
Which is the worst, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't dance with that.
Yeah, it's very hard to dance. And I had been dancing on an injured tendon for many years because there was, the doctor says you should take time off, but the school says, when are you going to be dancing? And you're very conflicted. And if you don't have good guidance, I think, at that age, you can make the wrong decisions.
So is that what happened?
Well, yeah, it slowly sort of wore away. And then, psychologically, because I couldn't do what I...
Did you ever dance professionally?
Mm-hmm. I danced in a small company in the south of France called, at the time it was called Jeune Ballet International, but now it's called Jeune Ballet de Cannes.
And so they took you from Florida to dance
No, I
there?
went to London. I studied at the London Studio Center, and then I auditioned in France.
So you were still, a teenager?
I was 20. And then
you were just...
Yeah. So
and then, but you were modeling too. When did the modeling agent find you?
The modeling agent found me in Paris when I was traveling with my father on a business trip, and I was 17. So I was going to be a senior in high school. And I actually left the Herod Conservatory to model for a year.
So the agent found you with your father?
Actually, I was with a friend.
You were just...
Yeah, we were just hanging. We were going around Paris, and he found me in the metro station.
You're kidding.
No. Yeah, they're pretty...
And then you did runway, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then I went to Paris, and I did, prêt-à-porter shows, like, that season. So I did, like, Vivienne Westwood and Issey Miyake. It was a cool time, It was a great experience. And then I ended up going back, studying dancing in London to kind of get back into shape. And after I officially retired, as it were, from dancing, I continued modeling for many years after.
So did you do print?
Mm-hmm.
You did everything in modeling.
Yeah,
Who was the agent?
I had many agents. The first agent, the first agency was called Vision in Paris, Vision, and then I had Why Not in Milan. I think they're still there. ID in New York. They no longer exist. Wilhelmina in New York and LA, and then I'm only represented by Below models in Barcelona, and I only model in Spain.
Oh, so you do still model?
Yeah.
It's very strange to see a model, because they always want to make the transition to film, right? Models always want to be actresses or actors of sorts. And it's one thing you're acting on the runway. It's another thing you're acting on the stage or in front of a camera. Do you find that different?
Oh, yeah. It's completely different. But
so how do you make the transition?
Well, I don't know. You just do. At some point you say, I'm going to do this.
Did you take acting lessons?
Yeah, many.
Where? And did you take stand-up for stand-up and for comedy?
I did a workshop for comedy, yeah. And actually, after, there was a showcase for that workshop, and then I got signed on by a manager after, my first performance.
Right away.
Yeah.
So you modeled in Toga.
In Togo, yeah.
Togo.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
In Paris, I was living in Paris, and then my agency said, there's this job in Togo, they want you to go, and I just I didn't really know what it was. It was some sort of like exchange with the French Ministry of Culture with some Togolese designers.
Really?
Yeah, so we
with the designer from there.
They brought like all of the models from France, and we wore the clothes of these people, these designers. Yeah.
That's so great. And then when you were dancing, did you dance around the world too?
I danced in France. I danced in London. I danced in just really France and London and, the States.
But modeling, you modeled in those places as well as Tokyo.
Tokyo, yes. Hamburg, Africa. I went to Algeria as well for some job. Paris, Milan.
Was it all runway or was it print in those places?
Both.
It was both?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was like a really strong career.
I don't know if I would say that, but it was a long career.
It was a long career, but it was also
strong.
Well, it was strong because it lasted so long,
Sure.
really.
Yeah, well, I sort of I came back to it as well later in life in Spain, and so that's been good.
So tell me about more of what you're going to say in emotional terrorism. You talk about bulimia. You talk about the theater. You talk about suicide.
Yeah.
You talk about runway. Tell us some stories about those things.
Well, I won't want to tell too many stories because obviously then I'd be spoiling the show. But I talk about, my struggles with eating disorders, but I tried to make it funny, you know.
Yeah.
But I was bulimic for a long time, so I talk about that.
But do you think that goes along with being a ballet dancer?
I don't know. It's really interesting. Psychologists say that it has to do with like early childhood sexual abuse. Like maybe I don't know. I know a lot of ballet dancers that are bulimic. But
That's why I was asking.
But I know you were asking that, but I think that there's something even earlier that precipitates it,
More.
Yeah, I don't think it's just like, oh my God, I have to be skinny for ballet.
Right. Or for the runway, or for a model,
Yeah,
right?
I don't think it's something that people would go to. It's a very hard thing to do, actually, to yourself. So I don't know that it's just about that.
It's deeper?
I think it's deeper, but I think those things can set it off, later in your life.
And then you talk about your runway, right?
I talk about like my career and how it started off on a sort of a high note and sort of came crashing down quite soon. I was like doing shows for Vivienne Westwood, and suddenly I was doing like